The day we moved into the old house, I knew something wasn't right. I've never believed in ghosts. Until I found the locked room. The house was over 100 years old. My father bought it cheap because no one else wanted it. Just rumors, he said. People love scary stories, but rumors don't put iron chains on doors. The locked room was upstairs at the end of a narrow hallway. The door was different from the others, thicker, darker, and wrapped in a heavy rusted chain. There was an old iron lock holding it together, and carved into the wood were words so faded I could barely read them. SEALED -1926. That night at dinner, I asked my dad about it. He froze. The previous owner said it's not to be opened, he replied. Ever? I laughed. Why? What's inside? He didn't answer. The first strange thing happened 3 nights later. I woke up at exactly 2:26 a.m. I didn't know why. Then I heard it. A soft dragging sound from upstairs, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. I stepped into the hallway. It was dark, silent. Then, clink, the faint sound of chains tightening. It was coming from the locked room. The next morning, I checked the door. The chain looked tighter than before, and the wood around the handle was scratched. From the inside, curiosity is dangerous. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I searched the attic for old boxes the previous owners had left behind. And I found something. A small leather journal covered in dust. It belonged to someone named Ibrahim Karim, -1925. Inside, the handwriting was shaky. Desperate. It is not a man. It is not smoke. It is something in between. It lies. It promises. And it does not die. I swallowed. The next entry made my chest tighten. We sealed it in the upper room. The imam said the verses would weaken it. The chains were blessed. It screamed for 3 nights. Then silence. The final page was torn, but one sentence remained. It learns voices. That night, I dreamed of the locked room. I was standing in front of it, and someone inside was whispering my name. Zion. Soft. Familiar. It sounded like my mother. I woke up sweating, and that's when I heard it again. Zion, but this time, I wasn't dreaming. The whisper was coming from upstairs. I grabbed my phone and crept toward the hallway. The air felt colder the closer I got. The chain on the door was moving slightly, as if something inside was breathing against it. Zion, the voice called again. It sounded exactly like my mom. But my mom was asleep downstairs. My heart pounded. Then the voice changed. It became my father's voice. Son, open the door. My hands started shaking. The journal's words echoed in my head. It learns voices. The chain suddenly pulled tight. The door shook violently, and a deep, distorted voice growled from inside. Let me out. The hallway lights flickered. I ran downstairs. The next day, I confronted my father. He finally told me the truth. 100 years ago, the original owner's son began acting strange, talking to someone who wasn't there, speaking in voices that weren't his. One night, the boy locked himself in that room. By morning, he wasn't the same. The village imam was called. They said something had attached itself to him. Something old, something that refused to leave, so they sealed the room, with it inside. That night, at 2:26 a.m., the house shook. A loud metallic snap echoed upstairs. I knew instantly what it was. The chain. I forced myself to look. The chain was hanging loose, broken. The door was slightly open. Darkness poured out from the crack like smoke. And from inside, I heard my own voice. Zion, help me. I stepped closer without thinking. The door creaked wider. Inside the room, the walls were covered in old verses written in black ink, some scratched out, some smeared. In the center of the room stood a tall shadow. It wasn't solid. It wasn't smoke. It was both. Its head tilted slowly, and it smiled with my face. You opened it, it said, but I never touched the door. Suddenly, I remembered something from the journal. It lies, it promises. I backed away. The shadow stretched unnaturally long across the floor. You're lonely, it whispered. I can make them understand you. I can make you stronger. The air felt thick. I could barely breathe. The shadow's arm reached forward, fingers bending the wrong way. Just let me stay. From downstairs, I heard my father shouting my name. The sound broke the silence. The shadow screeched. The walls shook violently. The verses on the walls began glowing faintly. The shadow recoiled. It wasn't fully free yet. It was still tied to the room. Still sealed, but weakening. My father pulled me away, just as the door slammed shut on its own. The chain whipped back around it violently, tight, unbroken, like it had never snapped. The hallway went silent. The next morning, we tried to leave the house, but the car wouldn't start. My phone had no signal. And at exactly 2:26 a.m. the next night, the whisper came again, not from upstairs, from inside my head. Zion. I looked into my mirror. For just a second, my reflection didn't move when I did. It smiled, slowly, its head tilting too far to the side, just like the shadow. The room is still locked. The chain is still tight. But sometimes, when I speak, my voice doesn't sound like mine anymore. And every night at 2:26, someone inside that room laughs. And it sounds exactly like me.